Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the channel. If you're new, my name is Lee, aka Rollin Thunder, and in today's video we're talking about these guys, my brand new RST TracTech EVO 4 race gauntlet gloves. So without further ado, sit back, relax, grab a cup of tea, and let us get into the video. So ladies and gents, how are we all doing? I hope you're doing well. I do apologise about my secondary camera angle being a little bit skew with. This is my second attempt at trying to do this video with this secondary camera, and hopefully we'll have a better chance this time around. So as the title of the video suggests, we are talking about these jobbies. My brand new RST TracTech EVO 4 race gauntlet gloves. Now if you guys remember, a little while ago I had the Dainese D1 full carbon race gloves as well. But unfortunately, after a couple of rides in those particular gloves, I just wasn't feeling it. I wasn't getting the right amount of dexterity in my fingers. They were quite tight across the back of my hands. I thought I could get on with them, but I just couldn't. Which is why I chopped them in for these bad boys. Now, a little bit of background information about these particular gloves. They are cowhide backs and kangaroo palms. They are also reinforced with Kevlar in all the high impact areas, so just like where you see the yellow there in the palms and around the wrists. Now what I like about these gloves more than anything is the fact they've got a really good double wrist closure. So that means they've got the little strap here across the top of the wrist, plus a bigger reinforced cuff, so that if you were wearing leathers or a leather jacket or whatever, or even a hoodie like I am, you would have a good level of security within the actual glove itself. These gloves also have a 3 and 4 finger bridge, again derived from racing, which for street riding probably not so necessary, but for track use I would definitely say it's a worthwhile investment, because these days most bikes have really good brakes, so 1 or 2 fingers is more than adequate to get the most out of the brakes themselves. So the 3 and 4 finger bridge for racing is definitely worth having. I mean, it looks a little bit weird. I mean, I don't know if you can see the little bit of webbing in between my 3rd and 4th fingers, literally just there. It's not, like I say, it's not ideal for street riding as such, but where I've been so used to wearing gloves like this in the past, it's almost like second nature to me, to be fair. I mean, if I really wanted to, I could always cut the webbing off. I'm not going to, mind, because it's there for a reason, do you know what I mean? But the fact that they've got kangaroo palms, the comfort of these gloves, I have to admit, the comfort level of these gloves in terms of what I'm feeling through the palms is almost as good, if not better, than my old Alpine Stars GP Pros that I had. If you remember the high-vis white and yellow gloves that I used to have years ago when I had my 748s and my 848s, they were an absolute banging pair of gloves. And these, ladies and gentlemen, aren't a million miles off that. They offer a really good level of dexterity. You know, I'm not feeling any pinching or anything like that in the fingers themselves. There's a tiny little tight spot around the thumb area of my left hand, but that's down to the fact that they're new. Because like I said, I haven't said, but I'll say now, I bought these gloves literally about 2-3 weeks ago, and this is the first opportunity that I've had to wear them properly, hence why I'm doing the video. And with the weather being as nice as what it is, it's a little bit chilly, but there's barely a cloud in the sky, which you can probably see from my secondary camera pointing at me. You should be able to see just over my shoulder there that there's barely a cloud in the sky. It's a little bit chilly, but it's nowhere near as bad as it has been. But anyway, enough about the weather. And in all fairness, in terms of value for money, these gloves are brilliant. You know, they're less than £100. I know that they do have full kangaroo hide versions of these gloves, which are some in the region of about £120–150, something like that. But unless you're, you know, track riding or racing, then you're never really going to benefit from them. But this combination of having kangaroo palms and cow backs, it just seems to work. It's like the same thing with my Ultimate add-ons stem mount. It just works. Do you know what I mean? The fit and finish and the build quality of these gloves, as well as, like I said in the previous video about the Ultimate add-ons stem mount, it's just brilliant. They just work. Do you know what I mean? And the one thing I've noticed as well with this first initial ride, if you remember, I normally wear short gloves, like the ones that finished there. Normally I don't have a problem with them. Oh no, that dickhead tried to reverse into me. But I've noticed that with the short gloves, I really need to grab hold of the bars tight, which is a bit weird because you shouldn't have to strangle the bars, whereas with these gloves, nothing like it. But with regards to these gloves, ladies and gentlemen, I think I've only really got one gripe with them. It's only a minor thing as well, and that is, and you're going to think I'm being so petty when I say this, but if you see on those two fingers, there's like a little contact patch where you're supposed to be able to feel a bit more in terms of lever pull and stuff like that. Now on the left hand, it's perfectly fine. I barely feel it's there, but on this hand I can feel it quite a lot. Now I don't know whether that's because the gloves, let's say, are still new and they need time to break in and soften up, which is probably the case. But it's just a really, how can I put it, it's a really weird sensation. It's like almost, so you know when you cut your finger, you put a plaster on the end of your finger, you can feel what's going on, but it feels really vague. That's the feeling I've got right now. It's almost like, you know, when you put a plaster on your finger and you do it up just that little bit too tight. That's kind of what it feels like. But I think with a little bit more, a few more miles on the gloves and a few more miles on the old one, I'll soon get used to it. Oh no, fucking bus bastard. But anyway, as I was saying, well, I watched my life flash before my eyes thanks to a bus. So far, I cannot fault these gloves. I've already touched upon the couple of things that I think are a little bit odd with them, such as the tight spot on the palm of the left hand, which is literally just here in that webbing area, which I think will give over time, and the weird lack of feel in the index finger and middle finger on the right hand. But again, I think that's just because when they're new, they will break in. And the other thing that I love as well is I've already touched upon it, and that is the fact that I don't have to strangle the handlebars in these gloves. Because before, like when I first got my Alpine Star GP Pro gloves, I had to hold on for dear life. I literally had to hold on to the bars for dear life until they broke in. But with these, it's literally, I'm holding it, literally, you know how you expect some people to be, you know, properly, like properly holding on. But for me, I'm literally like that. It's like literally holding, no pressure whatsoever. Apart from the couple of little niggly bits. For the value for money of these gloves, I cannot fault them. I really can't. You know, they're relatively comfortable. They're not too tight. They fit really well. Like I said, the only thing that I really need to get my head around is how, you know, waiting for them to break in. But other than that, you know, they're pretty cool looking. They're not too in your face. They've got the decent knuckle protection on the back of the hands. They're quite well ventilated as well. There's perforation in the leather in between the fingers. We've got the 3 and 4 finger bridge, like I've already said. I can't speak highly enough of them. And like I say, with having the kangaroo palm, it makes the contact so much more reassuring. It's like normally in my other gloves I would have either one finger or even two fingers hovering over the clutch, but now literally sometimes one, sometimes no fingers hovering over the clutch. I mean, obviously I need to use my fingers to actually use the clutch, but do you know what I mean? It's like the amount of dexterity that I get with these gloves, it's insane. And with this being my first proper ride in them, you know, I half expect them to be really stiff, really uncomfortable, really vague, you know, really just horrible, but they work. Ladies and gentlemen, they work. And like I said, apart from those one or two little niggling gripes that I've got, not a problem. You know, comfortable, malleable, usable, good quality leather. It just goes to show it makes all the difference. Do you know what I mean? I mean, like I said, this is literally my first proper outing wearing these gloves, and as the first, you know, not necessarily knee-jerk reaction, but as my first impressions video of these gloves, I can't speak hardly enough of them already. And I've only had them on for about 20 minutes, half hour or so, but in terms of what I'm getting from them so far, can't fault them. I cannot fault them. They fit well, they perform well, they feel like they're stretching out nicely. You know, they're ticking all the boxes for me, if I'm honest. And like I said, for the price I paid for them, I think these were about 90 quid, 100 quid, something like that. Cannot fault them. Really, really cannot fault them. The build quality is there, the comfort is there, the ventilation is there, the armour is there, all the reinforcement I need is there, and literally I just can't complain. There's, like I said, the one or two little niggles that I have, again, could be just because they're new, but overall, lovely gloves. The more I wear them, the better they're feeling, the softer they're becoming, the more acclimatized my hands are getting to them, and they just work. Do you know what I mean? They just literally work. I can't fault them, ladies and gents. I really can't. And like I said, for what I paid for them, it's like 90 quid, 100 quid, something like that. You know, it's very, very good value for money in my opinion. And if someone offered me these gloves again in either full kangaroo hide or whatever, and they were around the same sort of money, I would take them in a heartbeat. Honestly, I really would. And for example, the speed I'm going now, comfortable, so comfortable. I can ride one-handed all day long if I had to. I wouldn't recommend it, but if I had to, I definitely could. In terms of, you know, being able to move around on the bike, again, I cannot fault them. I really, really cannot fault them. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to bring this video to a close. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you got something out of it. If you've got any comments or questions regarding the RST TracTech EVO 4 gloves in terms of size or anything else, please feel free to hit me up in the comments box down below, and I will do my best to answer your questions as quickly and efficiently as I can. But for now, as always, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for sticking around to the end of the video. I appreciate you all for it. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, look after yourselves, look after each other, stay safe on the roads, be aware of COVID-19, be safe, be happy, and as always, adios!